Welcome to Community Roundtable. I'm Nick Burns from the Salt Lake Community College Division of Communication and Performing Arts, and today on the show we welcome back Herriman Mayor Carmen Freeman. We'll talk development, high and low density housing, and we'll talk about the proposed Salt Lake Community College campus to be built in Herriman. Mayor Freeman, thanks for coming back.
Nick, thank you so much for having me on. It's always a pleasure to come. We have a good relationship with Salt Lake Community College and know the good things they're doing here, and this is a phenomenal building and
well, thanks.
A lot of good opportunities for young people to come and further their education.
If I remember correctly, in Herriman, you're what we call a weak mayor governing system?
Yeah, that's an unusual term, isn't it?
For somebody who runs the city?
Maybe some of my residents would say that's an appropriate term. No. But a weak form of government is where the mayor is kind of more ceremonial. I still vote, but the city manager runs the operations, the day-to-day operations of the city. So, but I still get to vote, still impactful. I still go out and meet people and do the things that need to be done by a mayor. So,
and that is one of the things you have in Herriman is as mayor under your system, you have a city council vote, not just a tiebreaker vote. So you're a functioning city council member.
That's correct.
But strong mayor, weak mayor, whatever the system is, I mean, every time you go to the grocery store, you're always on, right?
Oh, absolutely. And that's a good thing. Some people might say it's an irritant, but it's a good thing. It's actually a good thing. I have young people come up and want to hug the mayor and other people coming up and asking questions, but that should be part of our government. That's part of who we are. And, you know, when I decided to be mayor, that's the package that I signed up for.
You knew that.
It's going to be 24/7. And that's okay. They have every right. That's the great blessing we have of living in America. We can have the freedom to speech and the freedom to express ourselves and to go to our political leaders and ask them questions that concern them.
So, like, you can't go to the grocery store like in your sweatpants or something then, right?
I usually go under. I have little glasses that I wear, a little mask that I wear.
So looking ahead, you're not running again. You're not on the ticket here for the next election. You served 2 terms. Correct. So what's going on? Just you've done your time? Or?
Well, I served 4.5 years on the Jordan School Board at a time of it was very difficult. 2008 was a recession. It was coupled by the district division, and so I've served 4.5 years there, 4 years here, and felt like it's the right time. I also have strong opinions on multiple service opportunities, or I guess running several times is a proper term. You know, I worry a little bit when we see other political leaders who are running for the 4th or 5th time around, and I always feel like there's always strength to be gained by another set of eyes, another set of ears that are looking at issues that perhaps I haven't seen that can help better the people for whom you're representing.
Or a fresh set of eyes, for that matter.
And I know this may sound difficult, but I think sometimes even any of us who get in jobs and situations that we're there for a long time, we can kind of get a little comfortable in them to the point where we're not giving it the energy that it deserves. And I think in any type of political serving, the people deserve the absolute best and what we should do. In fact, that's why I decided when I ran, I was going to retire, so that I could devote my full attention to it.
When I hear you talk about it that way, it sounds like underneath that you're not going to run for county mayor or state office, that you're on your way out?
No, yeah, I mean, I could always look at those things, but right now I just want to take some time after this, and my wife and I will get together and determine what course of action or direction we want to have in our life and see what's best. But anything I do, I've always made a point of doing my very best, and so whatever decision I make, if it's continuing in government in some respect, I want to do it with full energy and a determination to meet the needs of the people I represent.
And are you lifelong Herriman?
I was born and raised in Herriman when it was 400 people. And believe it or not, we had electricity and we had septic tanks and everything, but 400 people, and now it's over 40,000.
Were you officially a city with 400
No,
folks?
we were just part of the county, and then eventually, you know, when we saw other cities starting to encroach in our area and threatening to annex us into our city, wonderful and more very diligent individuals got together and says, hey, we got to take care of this, or we're going to Herriman's going to lose its identity. So they became a township. I think you have to have 700 residents, and became a township, and then they eventually evolved into a city.
So are you a farm kid?
I'm a farm kid, rancher kid, yes. So I've learned how to work and take responsibility, and but I have a great love for Herriman. It's just, it's very endearing. I had a great-grandfather who was one of the first settlers who went out there, so I've got a lot of roots that go very deep there, and appreciate those who sacrificed a lot that I could enjoy such a beautiful area of the county.
It is beautiful. Should I ask if what was your farm is now...
It's got houses on it.
Yeah, I was trying to think of a nice way to say that.
And guess what? We made more money doing that than we could have done for years putting various crops on it.
Tell me more about Herriman. I mean, it's a primarily bedroom community?
It's a bedroom community, and that's kind of some of the challenges we're having from an economic growth basis, because it is bedroom. It's not a destination area, so people typically aren't going through it. So that's one of the challenges we're having. So right now we're trying to do some other services. We have a large range of mountains that border our community, and we purchased about 1,200. We're going to continue to purchase up to 5,000 acres of it. It's privately held. And we'll make that recreational property. There'll be equestrian, bike trails, running trails. This area borders Camp Williams, and so we're hoping to make it a recreational area that will be a destination, so people will come out there and then ultimately help us economically.
And not to be overly cynical, is it not suitable to develop into homes? Is it too steep, or people
it's
just
too
really...
steep, and frankly, I mean, we had a developer years ago who wanted to develop it, and that's why we went in earnest trying to purchase it, because we want to keep the pristine view of the mountains. And the worst thing I could ever look at is look out my home and see that beautiful mountain that I've come to love and endear with houses and other structure on it. So we're going to make it a nice place for people to come and recreate.
But in terms of people's value, home value who live there, making that open space is stunningly good.
Oh, absolutely.
It's going to run up the price of houses for people who want a house, but...
And our young population, it kind of helps them in terms of they're very much in the recreational field. They like to bike, they like to walk, they like to do all those amenities. So it will be very endearing to them to come and live there and live in a facility that's very close by.
Yeah. When we come back, we need to take a quick break. When we come back, I want to ask more about this notion of development and how you can possibly wrangle that when there are so many new houses springing up in that corner of the valley.
Great name.
Keep it tuned. We'll talk more with Mayor Freeman from Herriman after this. We are back on Community Roundtable today talking with Mayor Freeman from Herriman. So this booming, I want to call it raging development, I've heard 60% of all new homes are being built in your neck of the woods, that part of the valley?
Yeah, it's incredible.
I'll say.
If you were to drive up in Herriman, all you would see is backhoes and construction trucks. It is incredible. But it's not surprising. We're one of the last areas, South Jordan, Herriman, West Jordan, in that western sector of the county. So it's not surprising that the growth has migrated in that area. But yeah, a recent statistic indicated that out of 10 homes built, 6 of them will be built in South Jordan, Lehigh, or Herriman.
So what do all your residents who live there now think of that? I would think some might find that kind of frightening.
It is. A lot of them came out earlier, let's say 5-10 years ago, and looked at it as more of a open ranch farming community, and now they're seeing all this intrusion of new homes coming, and so it is difficult for some. I think some are rather accepting of it, but there's others who are very concerned about congestion on the roadways, impact on schools and large classroom size and such. So they have some very legitimate concerns, and we're trying to address them as best we can. The thing we all have to understand is we can't control growth. I can't put a big cement barrier on each street and say you can't come in anymore. I mean, we're constitutionally, all landowners have a right to develop the property, and so we have to accommodate them when they bring a plan in, and we have to approve it. So you can't stop growth. You have some control of it in terms of the amount of density and how that infrastructure is put together, but really we can't stop growth, and that sometimes is quite surprising to some people and residents. They think you can, like a faucet, you can turn it off and on. We really can't.
So again, different states handle that differently, but here if you want to sell your farm off,
right.
I mean, you grew up on a farm and
right.
now it's houses,
right.
You can do that here.
You can sell it, you can develop it.
And the
So-
city can have some say over how many houses,
Right.
how tall maybe.
Right. Open space, parks, how the infrastructure is laid out. But at the end of the day, someone can develop their property if they align with some of the demands of the city.
So in your area here, that part of the valley and in Herriman, does anybody want to do a development that's, office towers or light industrial or?
Yeah, we're looking into that.
Okay.
What we want to try to do, and I think this is true of a lot of the communities, and as we look at air quality and the demands on our roadways, we want to have communities within a community. We want to have a place where they go to work, where they have services, where the schools, everything, all the recreational opportunities. So we're not driving all over. I mean, I was born and raised there, I was married, and if I wanted to go somewhere with my wife, we're driving clear to Salt Lake, or we're driving clear over to Sandy. Well, I think those days, we've got to look in a more positive direction in having the amenities within a certain area, and that means all of the communities. If we start driving everywhere we can, our roadways, frankly, will not hold up to that type of approach.
Then you'll be asking all your residents to triple their property taxes to pay for more roads, which will just get more crowded because there'll be more homes because they'll.
Exactly.
I mean, that's one of the big risks here with development is, yes, you have the open space. Yes, there are more people moving in, babies and everything else. But
Right.
at the same time, how do you as the mayor lead people toward we need maybe condo developments or we need higher density rather than everybody wants their gentleman's acre and a horse? I mean, that must. How do you balance
it's a
what
very
you want?
difficult thing.
Yeah.
I'll be frank. I don't like a lot of density. I don't. But at the same time, if I'm going to be a political leader, I got to look at things from all perspectives. We have a different dynamic in our generation that's growing up. A lot of them, frankly, don't want a garden. They don't want a big lot. They want to work and then they want to come home and either relax or go play. They don't want to do it. The second thing is just the affordability. We have townhomes right now that are $300,000 out there. I mean, it'd be very difficult. We have a half-acre parcel that's
nice.
Over $200,000. That's just the land alone. So the market for that type of having half and quarter-acre lots is diminishing quickly. And I want to have Herriman be in a position where my grandchildren and friends and neighbors can come and live there. But if we're not careful, we're going to price ourselves out and force everybody into apartment living, which is not good for them. They should have their own home eventually and such.
I mean, you're talking $1 million homes right away, right? If you're
Yeah,
spending $200,000 or $300,000 on a lot.
Right. Yeah. You're going to be in the $500,000 to $750,000 range.
Quickly.
So, and there's not, frankly, that many people who have jobs and positions that can afford that type of a home.
Even though those are probably the people who can afford to commute.
Right,
But
right.
but what do you do about city services? Because the minute you have half-acre lots and those bigger homes, then it's just going to cost the city more for fire, police, ambulance, because you've
Exactly.
got so much more sprawl. But yet you've got to convince the people who live there that a townhome development or a fancy apartments or a shopping mall or a dentist's office building
Right.
or something is
Well,
worthwhile.
I think one of the things, Nick, that a political leader, he's always in the state of representing the citizens, and part of that representation is education. So you've always got to help them understand the dynamics of a city and what it costs for those services. And in the process of education, hopefully you can bring them into the circle of saying, okay, I understand why we need to have a little more density because we got to get businesses to come in, or it's causing the city to spend a lot of money for snow plowing and road repair and other things. So we got to have so much density to help us meet that need.
How do you figure that when somebody wants to take the farm and turn it into 12 homes or whatever it might be? How does the city figure out the impact fees and paying for the roads and what to bill? And I'm sure you engineer the roads, or they have to be engineered to your standard.
Right.
But how does that all happen? 'Cause
Well, we have
going
accountants
quick.
and other people who will look at that to make certain that it's viable and economically well for the city. But frankly, if someone comes in and says, "Hey, this is zoned for half-acre lots," and they want to do half-acre lots, it's really their prerogative. We can point out the fact that, hey, that's going to be a real difficulty for the city. That's still, again, as we've talked about before, their constitutional right to develop that property and support them in that effort.
But I mean, it runs the cost up considerably.
Oh,
of course, right?
There's no question.
All the way around.
There's no question about it. And
so, are you already in a place where some of your longtime residents are being priced out now?
No, I think we're okay. I think we just have to be very smart about it, and particularly not only how we develop, but how we manage the city. We're hearing now of cities in California and other areas that are basically bankrupt, and they've just ran the gamut because they haven't planned well. One of the good things I've seen in this valley, it's not only from county services and state services, but the cities are managed very well, and they're looking and they're proactive and they're looking down the road instead of building out and then saying, whoa, we should have allowed for some more recreational property, or we should have done this. If you're proactive and you have a vision and a general plan for your city, then you can be looking and knowing of potential issues that are going to come up down the road instead of waiting for them to come.
And that'll help you with what you said a moment ago on the education side, right? If you're always on, from the grocery store to the council meetings
Right.
to everything else, you've got to be, you've got to lead the way in a strange way against people who might not want to be hearing what you have to say.
Exactly.
Yeah. When we come back, I want to talk specifically about some development in Herriman, which is the Salt Lake Community College campus for your neck of the woods. So keep it tuned. We'll talk more with Mayor Freeman after this. We are back on Community Roundtable talking with Mayor Freeman, talking about this notion of development. I have to bring Salt Lake Community College into it. We have 80 employees who live in your city. Okay. We have over 1,000 students who come from your city. Okay. And now we have plans, and they'll have to go before the state and up on the hill and whatnot to actually build a campus in Herriman.
Yes. This has been a discussion that's been ongoing for some time, and we have a number of acres there that we've already devoted to it. And this is going to be an exciting campus because it's not only going to bring Salt Lake Community College in it, but Utah State, University of Utah, they'll form a bond there together and hopefully provide education opportunities that can't be given in just a single campus venue. So we're excited about that, and in fact we've had a number of meetings and tours with some of the board of directors that are there and such, and so we're very excited about it, and we feel like it's a great opportunity and great location for one.
Well, and you mentioned this notion of a partnership, and earlier we were talking about the issues of transportation and clogging roads and pollution and all of that, and here if you have a university partnership, a student from anywhere in that neck of the woods or whatever could go to this campus,
right,
get their community college degree and stay for their bachelor's, right?
Exactly.
Would that be how it should be?
Absolutely. And that's what we're one-stop shopping. And you're in an area, as I said, Lehigh, Herriman, South Jordan, Riverton, Draper, that whole area is just growing. Right now, this will help fuel this interest in the community college. Our median age in Herriman is 24. We have the largest high school, 3,000 students, 3,100 are going to Herriman High School. But our median age is 24. Some of my staff have said, hey, Mayor, if you moved away, it would drop to 21. So they think that's
so
funny.
You're going to move away and they'll all laugh about that. But that's frighteningly young.
It is right,
a lot of young people.
But I think it lends itself that this could be a very, very successful campus. And so, as you alluded to, we're waiting for some state funding. We understand we're first on the chart in terms of when that for Salt Lake Community College. So we're very hopeful that will come in, and we also have some commitments from the University of Utah and Utah State, and so hopefully that'll come to fruition in the near future.
I mean, having those partners will certainly help the sales pitch. Anybody not want a new campus in Herriman? Anybody not want the
we
college
haven't
there?
had any negative impact on it, no. So.
Because I just think some people, you live beside a college campus, it's a place to walk your dog, it's quiet at night pretty much.
Absolutely.
It's not like having a nightclub next door.
Well, and the nice thing about it, we talked about this recreational property, it's within a mile away from this campus, so people who elect to live there or can go to school and say, hey, I'm going to get my shoes on or take my bike and I'm going to go recreate while I'm right here. So it provides a great venue and opportunity.
Do you see a college campus as furthering, restaurants, shopping malls, that kind of thing? Is that part of the plan?
Yeah. Well, we haven't got to that point yet, but we can. Right now, it's right by the Salt Lake Real soccer stadium. I don't know if you're aware of that.
Okay. No, I
but
didn't know it was that close.
It's a practice facility. It's right next to it. So, in fact, the community college will be using the field that the Monarchs will be using for their soccer games. So there's going to be a great partnership between these two entities. So that's going to help both entities be
And
successful.
it's only been a couple of years since the college got into what so many people call football. So, okay, very good. That's kind of exciting. All this population growth, what do most everybody commutes? Are there any? Do many people stay in town? Do you have like doctor's offices and the kinds
Yeah,
of work?
we do have some, but as I alluded to before, we have to make a lot of stronger efforts in getting more businesses, light industrial, things where people can work there. I think that's going to be the key, not only to Herriman, but I think a lot of communities in the Salt Lake County. And we talk about air quality, and we've talked about transportation issues. To me, those are the sort of things that you can take positive steps to try to correct.
Is Daybreak a model?
Yes, I think they're good. Yeah, they
okay,
are.
just wondered.
Very, very good.
Couple minutes and a couple more questions. Herriman changing your public service model away from the Salt Lake Valley Law Enforcement Service area, which I won't even try and say the acronym, but the notion is it's actually cheaper for you to just contract directly with UPD.
Well,
rather than go through the district.
It's not only cheaper. On a service district model, what you do is you have a number of entities. We have Mill Creek, Riverton, Herriman, all of which are going to leave, but in Salt Lake County, we pull our resources together, and then officers are allocated on an as-needed basis. By us separating from the district, we now can have say in terms of, hey, we need 2 more officers, we can get them automatically. In the previous model, we had to beg and try to get them.
You were sharing.
Sharing, yeah, exactly.
And yet
so
this is cheaper. You could say
this will be cheaper, and we'll have better law enforcement in our community.
So you all voted to leave and change this, and that's great. But I was really intrigued that this was on your website that I found. You had a public hearing that was, quote, well advertised but poorly attended.
Yeah.
So people didn't care about this, or people didn't see any big deal?
Well,
or?
I think we've communicated enough that it's really a no-brainer. If you want law enforcement, if you're interested in having the number of officers that we needed, to me, I don't know how you can argue against it, and it's not going to impact your tax. We're not going to raise taxes. Your taxes will be the same. You'll get better service. So I'm not surprised that no one came, because we have got the communication. We've had open houses, so they understand the dynamics of it. So
there wasn't a controversy.
It's not a controversy.
So some cities have gone to like their own police force and then got rid of it and gone back to UPD. Is Herriman in the place where in 5 years you'll want your own force?
No, that could happen. Right now we're very happy with UPD. They provide a mecca of different services that smaller or cities that have their own law enforcement can't have. And so we're very happy with those, because you can share those services. It's a model that's, I think, more economically favorable for our residents, and they can get more services in law enforcement.
As long as they see that.
Yes.
Right? I mean, some places it's like, we just want our own cops no matter what. We don't care if it costs more.
But under the UPD model, we integrate our police force within our community. We have them come to different events. So it's almost a feeling, even though they are under the umbrella of UPD, they still feel like a local law enforcement, just by the fact that we've included them and have them interacting in our community events.
So real quickly, only a couple minutes left. You're moving out of the mayor's chair. Somebody else is going to step in. I don't think you've endorsed one candidate or the other. You're sort of keeping neutral, I understand.
Yeah, I think that's a better. I don't want to. I think when you have an election, I want to have people get out and know the candidates. I hate to use this term. It can be a little lazy approach. If, hey, I know Mayor Freeman, and if he nominates this person, then I'm going to stick. I think it's good for all of us to look at the candidates. What are they standing for? What's their vision? And by me endorsing someone, I think it shortcuts that provision and that direction that needs to be done. I think in any form of government.
Yeah. What was something you wished you knew when you became mayor that you would like them to know, real quick? Anything?
Well, that you need to have pretty thick skin, because people. People can be, with social media today, people can be, quite difficult to work with, and quite open, opinionated. So you have to realize that that's a small group of people. They don't represent the whole, and you try to work with them as best you can, but you have to go into it realizing, I'm never going to please everyone. I can try to do things that I know what's best for the city.
And Go ahead.
No, and I think that's what any political leader needs to do. As soon as we start aligning ourselves up with different, what's going to make me look good, or how can I influence this group, I think we get very misguided. We need to be looking, what can I do for the betterment of who I represent? Because in the process, if you do that, if that's all you're going to do and you're only aligning yourself to get reelected, you're not serving the people. You need to make decisions, even if it costs you election, even if it costs you popularity. You do what's important for the people you represent.
Mayor Freeman, thanks. Gonna have
Thank
to leave
you.
it there.
Thanks, Nick.
My
Appreciate it.
pleasure. Thank you for joining us on Community Roundtable. If you'd like more information about all Salt Lake Community College programs, about academic programs, community programs, student resources, upcoming campus events, you can find it all. slcc.edu. That's slcc.edu. And we'll see you next time on Community Roundtable. I'm Nick Burns.